Hey, how's it going? So really quick, what I wanted to do, I got a good question on my Defending the Faith white belt curriculum, and this one comes from Sarah Werdeman. In the book of Job, it says that God was talking to Satan in heaven. What's going on? So, to let everybody know what's going on in terms of the original source we're talking about, we're going to Job chapter 1, and we're going to go verses 6 through 12 really quick. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and turns away from evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and says, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hand, and his possessions have increased in the land. You'll stretch out your hand and touch all that he has. He will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. All right, so something really quick to consider is we get this image, and this image is not just here, right? I want to show you a couple other places in Scripture where this shows up, that God is a king, right? And just like regular kings, he has basically a throne room in heaven. He has, heaven looks a lot like kind of a medieval court, or it uses that image. And one of the roles that Satan has, actually Satan is a abbreviation of his title, and you can tell how old a Hebrew work is in antiquity by whether or not it uses the old title or the new title. And it used to be Hasatan, the accuser, right? You can think of it like a district attorney or the prosecutor in a court case, where his kind of the job he's allowed to do even after his fall is to, in the New Testament calls him like the accuser of the saints. So he shows up and he's like, well, look at this person. This person's terrible, and that person's very bad. Right? His job is to show up and talk and bring accusations. And this is not the only time that the court gets used. This courtly image, it gets used again and again in Job. Right? Satan keeps coming back. Right? This is like, again, if you watch an old film or something, you'll see somebody coming before the king and offering a petition. "Oh, king, would you please give me, 10 gold, and I'll raise a flock and I'll give you some wool." That kind of thing, where they come to try to present court cases. And Satan and the Bible really does talk about God's throne this way. Here's some interesting things about it that I want to throw you really quick from the New Testament. And this is Matthew 18, verses 10 through 14. Again, is going to kind of use this imagery. "See that you do not despise any of these little ones." I don't like that translation. The word here is mikron, not teknia. So teknia means like kids, and mikron means like the powerless, people who aren't famous or rich. "For I tell you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven." So if there's a court, right? If God's king, if in heaven kind of looks like a king's court, then God has, then God cares about us so much, cares about his adopted children so much, that our angels, the angels who look over us, they get direct access, right? They can go right to God. "God, Bruce is having a really hard time. He had a holiday weekend, and he's got this. We please, please just bless God. Please look after him," and God will listen to it and go, "Okay, fine." And not only then, Matthew 18, 10 through 14, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that in heaven their angel always sees the face of my Father. In heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven. What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? And if he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that never went astray. So it is not the will of my Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish." So the good news for you here is you are news in heaven, right? The angel watching over you. Jesus says gets to come directly to God and report about how you're doing. Not that God needs it; it's kind of an image, right? This courtly image doesn't just end there. I want to go then. We talked about Satan as the accuser, right? He's like the DA who wants to put you in prison being hell. Now, when a criminal gets put forward, he gets a defense lawyer, somebody to advocate on his behalf. There's some cool verses in Job for that. So Job is a really cool book. There's some really neat stuff in there. But I want to actually go to Hebrews chapter 4, 14 through 16. Since then we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast to our confession. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weakness, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So not only is God this great and powerful king who's ruling from on high, and not only do even the angels have to, come before him, and Satan, he's out of court over the whole universe, but you are so important because of what Jesus Christ has done for you, and because Jesus is there in front of that throne, interceding. That's and this is what the book of Hebrews says Jesus is actually doing. That you can, by coming to Jesus, by praying to Jesus, you get direct access to the courtroom of God, to this kingly court of God, and that is very awesome. So I hope that answers your question. I have a feeling there's some follow-ups on this, but we'll tackle them as they come. All right, peace. I gotta get back to doing my homework.